conference is of such profound significance to the future of our country that it demands our full, collective, and undivided attention. This is because we are meeting at a profound moment in our country's development journey. As an administration,
we are implementing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda with a clear focus
on expanding opportunity, strengthening productivity, and ensuring that no Kenyan is left behind. Equally important, we have made a bold national commitment to propel Kenya into first world status in our time. Global experience informs us that countries that have fulfilled their development ambitions, from Japan to Germany and South Korea to China, Singapore to Israel, did not treat education merely as a social good, but as a national mission and a strategic national assignment. To share 5 broad reasons why education is and must be central to our development agenda. First, education develops human capital by equipping citizens with literacy, numeracy, technical expertise, managerial competence, and problem-solving ability, raising national productivity and improving incomes. Second, education facilitates industrialization. No country can move from exporting raw materials to building industries in manufacturing, engineering, pharmaceuticals, ICT, agro-processing, or clean energy without a skilled workforce, technicians, scientists, innovators, and many more. Third, education strengthens the capacity of the state. A competent civil service, an effective judiciary, a professional diplomatic corps, all educated and capable. Education enables innovation and innovate of their own. Education transforms societies. It reduces poverty, improves, lowers maternal and child mortality, expands opportunities for women, strengthens social cohesion, and promotes civic stability. In many ways, ladies and gentlemen, education is the single greatest investment a nation can make in managing its present and shaping its future. Indeed, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization says that in developing countries, US dollar invested in education is up to 50. Without this conference, driving effective accountability, our work and the engagements we are going to have in this conference. It speaks to the responsibility we all share to ensure that education reforms are not only well designed, but also effectively implemented and sustained across all levels and all systems. A working education system demands continuous and vigorous evaluation and review to align it with aspirations behind its introduction. This forum is therefore ideal, as it offers an opportunity for candid reflections on the state of our education. It is also an opportunity to assess our successes and reset our priorities. And congratulations, Warisiri and your team, for putting this forum together. I know this is the second forum. The first forum, I wasn't able to attend. But on being briefed on the engagements in the first forum, I made the decision that I will be coming to this forum every year because of the significance and the importance of not just education, but the need for us to collaborate, harness ideas, correct where there are wrongs, and streamline the whole education program because, as I have said, it is the single most important investment any society, community, or nation can invest in. And that is the reason why close to 30% of our national budget is spent on education, not as a cost, but as an investment. It is the reason why we have progressively enhanced the budget in this sector from approximately 500 billion in 2022 to 702 billion in this financial year and 767 billion in the coming financial year. We don't treat the investment and the resources we are putting in education as a cost to us. It is an investment we are making in our present and in our future. And that is why the theme of this conference, leadership, accountability, which comes with integrity, and also collaboration, is a very apt theme that brings us together to realize that reform requires bold leadership because entrenched cultures don't give way easily. So we have to be courageous and bold to be able to implement the reforms that will align our education with the needs of the present and with the aspirations of the future. Accountability becomes a very central part of delivering on education because the resources we are allocating, the public taxes that we allocate to education, 700 billion shillings is a lot of money. And integrity must be front and center in us delivering on education and making sure that we can account to the Kenyan public on the resources we are spending in education. I have been in this space for a while, both as a member of parliament and subsequently as a minister for higher education. And I know full well how important and how impactful delivery on education can be to not just our learners, but to our society in general. It is the reason why I instructed the Ministry of Education to do a proper audit and to take the next step and digitize education data. You know, you will be well to know that when we carried out audit and when we decided to verify the numbers of students in primary school, the numbers of students in secondary schools, the numbers of schools themselves, you know, we got to know that there were 87,000 or thereabout ghost students in our secondary schools. Students we were paying capitation for, yet they didn't exist. We had 800,000 pupils in primary school, government paying close to $1.2 billion every year for learners that did not exist. We had schools registered, close to 200 schools that did not exist. We are asking some very difficult questions to some of our head teachers and to some of our leaders in education at the county level. Because accountability, integrity is central to us making sure that all our resources are used properly. You will also want to know that because of this, we are now moving to the next step. And I have instructed the Ministry of Education that in the next 2 months, we're going to be working with CONSA Technopolis to make sure that we digitize all the education details of every learner, every school, teachers, bursaries, and everything else, so that we can make sure that through technology, deployment of technology, using digital data, we can easily check on whether we have the right number of students, whether we have the right number of teachers, where we have gaps, and what we need to do. And progressively, we have seen what technology has done. I will give you an example. We had very big difficulties with agriculture. We decided that we are going to digitize all our farmers. We are going to collect data on all our farmers. We had tried it before for a very long time, almost 10, 15 years. We only registered 300,000 farmers. But we did a national exercise, rolled out a whole of government approach. Today, we have 7.2 million registered farmers. We know how many sugarcane farmers, how many coffee farmers, how many tea farmers, how many growers of wheat, how many growers of maize. Today, for you to buy fertilizer, you have to bring a digital voucher because we allocate every farmer, because we know farmer X has 5 acres. He cannot come and claim fertilizer for 20 acres because he doesn't have 20 acres. So the system automatically knows and allocates fertilizer on account of the acreage of farmers. We have dealt with huge cartels that were big problems to us because we digitized data. I want to encourage stakeholders, from our teachers to boards, to parents, for all of us to agree to a digitization process so that it makes it easy for us to deploy all the resources we are deploying, whether it is capitation, whether it is bursaries, and everything in between. I am happy that we have teachers and teachers' representatives in our midst. The question I will ask my good friend Oyu and and my sorry, the leadership from Kupet, Oyu, sorry. The question I'm going to ask them is, we have some head teachers who have taken us to court that they do not want to pay parents to pay school fees on e-citizen. They want to continue writing receipts on pieces of exercise book. Why? Honestly, mutusaidie. Why do you want to continue writing receipts on pieces of paper where nobody, traces, your exercise book iliandikwa ilipotea, shule ilichomeka ikachoma na receipt, sijui nini? Today, parents should be able to pay from the comfort of their homes on e-citizen school fees for their children, where we can verify the data, where we can know that this money was paid. We have made a decision. I have made a strategic decision that we do not want to deal in cash in this administration, because cash is very sticky, And that is why today you can pay literally for any government service, on a digital platform, through M-Pesa, through the bank, so that you have traceability and we can have visibility as government that so much money has been paid. So mutatusaidia Bwana Uju na Maisori na wadosi, mtuambie hawa watu tuwajane na giza, please. Wacha tukuje mahali kwa mwangaza hapo, kila mtu aonekane nini inafanyika, bandegane inasonga namna hiyo. I don't think asking for transparency is too much, right? But I'm talking about very few teachers. The rest of the teaching fraternity, many schools across Kenya today, they are accountable. They accept money to be paid on a digital platform. In fact, I have head teachers who have rejected cash. They've told parents, go pay using a digital platform because we want accountability. This is how we want to move into the future. And that is why I have singled out your theme here of accountability. If we are accountable, we can do more with the resources we have. And we can improve learning outcomes better with the resources that we have. This year, the first cohort of grade 9 learners under the competence-based education joined senior school with over 99% transition. We must safeguard the unique ability of education to be an equalizer for all
by eliminating man-made bottlenecks that frustrate access to quality learning and stand between our children and a brighter future. Equally important is making available the necessary learning resources to our schools on time. Beginning this year, we have ensured that capitation funds are disbursed to public schools before the opening date. We are also accelerating the expansion of classrooms, laboratories, and other learning facilities to cope with the growing number of learners and the demand by the CBE curriculum. These reforms are reshaping our classrooms into spaces that nurture creativity,
build practical skills, and prepare learners for real-life challenges. They are laying the foundation for a generation that is not only knowledgeable, but also innovative, adaptable, and capable of providing needed solutions. Indeed, even in the face of early skepticism, the results we are now witnessing speak for themselves. Learners who have transitioned to senior school are already demonstrating strong learning outcomes that affirm the soundness of our decision to reform the curriculum. The core competencies and values being inculcated, including critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and citizenship, are evident in how these learners engage with their teachers and interact with their peers. Their confidence, creativity, and the sense of responsibility are clear indicators that we are on the right path. This progress has been driven by deliberate and sustained government action. Since taking office, you've had the statistics as given by Minister Ogamba that we had 4 fundamental challenges in this education space. We had a serious challenge with competence-based curriculum. You all know. Many parents were complaining they are being forced to do homework at night. They are making cars at night, cutting boxes, and doing all manner of things. We had serious challenges with teacher numbers. We had a huge gap of close to 100,000. We could only hire 5,000 teachers every year. We had serious challenges of learning spaces. I will give you an example. In Nairobi alone, we've had to provide additional resources to create more learning spaces in the city of Nairobi. We're building an extra 1,000 classrooms in the city of Nairobi alone, just to make sure that the students, especially in informal settlements, have access to education. We had very serious challenges of the funding model that was more focused on the institution than the learner. We have since corrected all of them. And of course, we have 2 to go. Digitize the whole system so that we improve on transparency and we make it much more easy for decision making. And number 2, I have one last thing that I must do, and that is to sort out a higher education loans board so that we can have clarity. And I have instructed this man, that, and I've put him together with my team. I've given them some assignments that we must finally end up with a predictable, you can sit down, Monari, with a predictable resources. Because as we move some of our commercially viable programs out of the budget into the National Infrastructure Fund, we want to create space using, resources from the budget, from development partners, to fund more social projects, education, health, social protection. That is where we will concentrate our resources from the budget, because the rest of the commercially viable projects, we can move them to the National Infrastructure Fund and also to the private sector, building on the ecosystem we have, on public-private partnerships and all the other things we are doing in that space. So we've hired teachers, and I'm sure the teacher representatives here can confirm. It is not a story. True, wanaoyu na ndugu zetu? Yes. Yeah? The teachers we have hired in the last 3 years, it would take us 20 years if we hired them at the rate at which we were hiring before. But we made this deliberate because we could see the negative effects our learners and our learning and our education was suffering because of lack of teachers. We built more classrooms, as was said by Waziri, 23,000 and counting. We are building also another 1,600 laboratories across Kenya to make sure that no student, as has happened in the past, gets to a laboratory the day they are doing the exam. You know, how sometimes unfortunate it is. And we have reorganized the funding model so that it is student-centered. Through these investments, we are not merely expanding access to education. We are laying the foundation for a more equitable, competitive, and future-ready nation. At the same time, we have continued to invest in teacher development, expand digital learning infrastructure,
and align education pathways with national development priorities. I'm very happy that STEM is now a real, program. And I was very happy that, the STEM students are up to 60, you told me? We are now at 52%, heading towards 60. And then we will keep improving so that we prepare ourselves for the future. We must be armed with the human capital that will take our country to the next level. At the level of higher education, we have undertaken bold reforms to ensure that access is fair, transparent, and sustainable.
The new university funding model has shifted the focus from institutions to students, ensuring that financial support is provided based on need through a structured combination of scholarships, loans, and household contribution. This approach is enabling more young Kenyans to access higher education while safeguarding the long-term sustainability of the sector. Equally important is the transformation of technical and vocational training. We have positioned TVET as a critical central pillar of our economic agenda by expanding institutions, strengthening competence-based training, and deepening collaboration with industry. Through these efforts, we are ensuring that young people acquire relevant skills that lead to employment, entrepreneurship, and productivity, thereby directly contributing to national growth. I did inform Migosi and team at the Ministry of Education that technical education, and I had very serious challenges when I was Minister for Higher Education at some point on getting technical education to come to the center of our education and education outcomes. Because there was a notion built over time that the students who go to Tibet are the students who are not very good. And that was very wrong. And that is why we have changed the perception. I am very happy that today learners choose where to go on the basis of where they see themselves into the future. And as a result, we have increased the numbers. In 2002, we had close to 300,000 students in our TVET. Today, we are at 800. Our target is to get to 2 million. I know there is a small problem somewhere which I'm sorting on matters to do with the resources available to teach those students. I have since discussed with the PS in that department and the Waziri, and we're going to sort it out. Because we had two challenges. We want to make sure that it is affordable. That is why we worked with the Tibet institutions to reduce the fees from close to 100,000 to 67,000. And we have also modularized so that certification becomes more frequent. And you can get in and go out as you get more skills. So that is now working very well with a bit of challenges, but we are sorting it out because we want to make sure that we have more people equipped with technical skills. We've run into some headwinds, for example, with our housing program. You know, we need more plumbers, we need more electricians, we need more people who understand masonry, and we've had to resort to people who have learned on the job. And that is why we have also expanded the certification through recognition of prior learning, so that people who have learned the skill, who have the skill, they have a shorter runway in making sure that they get certification. The success of these reforms depend on the strength of our leadership, the integrity of our systems, and the effectiveness of our collaboration. Leadership must be exercised at every level of our education system with a clear focus on delivery and on results. Accountability must guide the utilization of resources and the implementation of programs, ensuring that every investment translates into improved learning outcomes. Collaboration must bring together government, educators, communities, and partners in a shared effort to transform education. And that is why this forum is very significant and very consequential. It brings all of us together so that we can listen to one another, sample the ideas that we have, improve on what is not working, change what is not working, improve on what is working, and tap into better ideas on how to take this forward. We all agree that this is a space that is evolving because society is evolving. There were courses that were not part of us a few years ago that now must be central to how we move forward. And therefore, we cannot afford to stay static when the needs of society, when the needs of industry are changing. That's why this collaboration, the coming together of stakeholders, sponsors of schools, whether religious organizations or private sector organizations, the public schools, and everybody in between must be part of this conversation. And we must admit that we allow ourselves for a good idea to give way to a better one so that we can improve the space around learning in our society. I have also stated that as we go forward, we are going to put more resources in science, research, innovation, and technology. Because I strongly believe that no society can grow or develop beyond its capacity to think. You know? And we must allow ourselves to, get the best minds to think for us, to innovate, to research, so that we can improve on the knowledge that we have, we can create new knowledge, and we can use knowledge to drive our development. This conference, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, provides an important opportunity to consolidate the progress we have made, align our efforts, and strengthen the implementation of reforms across the country. It is a platform not for finger pointing, not for accusing one person against another. It is a forum for us to think together and to work together. The common good of education is at the center of this. It is a platform to generate solutions, share experiences, and reaffirm our collective commitment to delivering an education system that works for every learner and for our nation. I am truly proud to be part of this conversation here in Naivasha. Asante sana. I thank you, and I look forward to some more engagement as we go forward. Asante sana.
Another warm round of applause for His Excellency, please. And deep dive and unpack leadership, accountability, and collaboration in the education sector. And Your Excellency, the good book...
Why or mutatueleza baadaye? Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the conversation at this second national